Just how cliquish is the Colorado press? Well, to talk about it is reporter extraordinaire Sherrie Peif. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you work with Complete Colorado, the only website you need to know, which is a great aggregator, and you do original stories for it. And we work pretty closely with Complete because, well, we're kind of connected.
Just a little.
Just a little. All right. How long have you been a reporter?
Almost 2 decades.
Where have you worked?
I was at the Greeley Tribune for about 13 years, early in my career, and Complete Colorado, Independence Institute.
You also do some work for radio news.
I do that now too, yes. I am a political reporter and analyst for KFK Radio in Greeley.
All right, so you got some real street cred.
Right.
All right, even though you work for the schlock outfit, Complete Colorado.
Right, that's it.
Now, you report on the goings-on at the Capitol. All right, this makes sense. You're a Capitol reporter.
Right.
And when you go there, you need to talk to people, and you go to different places. Tell me the difference about being a reporter and being a reporter with a floor pass. Is that what it's called?
I think it's just a special little badge that says you're credentialed with the Colorado Capitol Press Association.
All right, so there's the Colorado Capitol Press Association. It's a nice little thing you get. And with membership comes perks. What is that perk?
Being on the floor of the House and the Senate, which is different in Colorado because Colorado is one of only a few states that even allows it. Most states do not allow reporters on their floors. So in Colorado...
For people who might not be following, when you say on the floor, that means
with
what?
the senators, with the House of Representatives.
So in the big chamber of both the House and the Senate, reporters with a special little badge get to go in there. Now, they can't hang out and talk to the speaker, but they can hang out on the side, so when something's happening, they get to talk. Why is that an advantage to a reporter?
Well, it depends on what you're covering, but there's, you have your own special little table that you can sit at, so you can bring your computer and type while you're at it. You also have the opportunity to get more candid photos. So if you're taking photos for the day for the story, you have a lot better opportunity to take photos. If you're not credentialed, the photos have to come from the gallery up above where the public sits. And that can be a struggle because the sergeant of arms that cover that, the rules vary differently based on whoever is standing there for the day. I've had days where I've had to sit down while I'm taking my photos. I've had days where I can stand up, but I have to stand on the side. I've had days where I can stand in the middle. It just depends on which guy is there at the time.
But the real advantage is that when the action is happening, when amendments are being thrown out, when somebody's speaking, you can kind of say, really? And elected officials will walk over to you during the heat of battle and tell you what they might do, what their response is, give you the quote right there where the action happens.
They very well can, yes, absolutely. And even if let's give the benefit of the doubt and say they don't, you are developing relationships with folks, with the senators and the representatives. You're developing those relationships. They know you when they pass you in the hall. They know you when you call them on the phone. Their aides know who you are. So even if they're not talking to you, which they can, but even if they're not talking to you, those relationships are developed. So later on when you need to call them or get a hold of them, they know who you are, they feel like you've been vetted and that you're okay to talk to, and you can get those conversations
vetted because
going.
they've built a relationship with you, because they've seen your work, and trust me, when an elected official's name is anywhere in a story, doesn't matter if it's in photons on the web or in ink, they see it.
Exactly.
They jump all over it. All right, so I can understand why it's important to be credentialed.
Right.
What do you have to do to get credentialed?
There's an application that you fill out, and basically you tell them your name.
Tell who?
The Colorado Capitol Press Association, which is it's a group of all the people that are credentialed through their association, but there's a board of 5 folks, and they are working journalists who are within the community right now. Brandon Ritteman from Channel 9 is on that. Benta Birkeland from Colorado Public Radio is on that. Charles Ashby from the Grand Junction Daily Sentinel is on that. So there's a group of, Peter Marcus from Colorado Politics used to be on that. I understand, I'm hearing he's not anymore. But there's a group of 5 folks that are basically the deciding board, and you fill out an application, you send it to those 5 folks, and you say, here's who I work for, here's what I'm doing. I'd like credentials to be on the floor.
Who gives them the authority to do that? Because this is the Senate or the House, and I would think the Senate or the House gets to decide who's going to be on the floor. They give this private group that authority.
It's my understanding that it used to be that way, and when I look at the history, when I went back and I looked at the history, that is exactly what it was. The president and the House Speaker used to formally decide who got credentials and who didn't. And several years ago, they decided to turn that over to this group of already working media to make that determination, because they felt that the working media could better determine who was actually media and who was not media.
All right, so I instantly start thinking about this in my little policy world of protected companies. So, for instance, the Public Utilities Commission, if you want to open up a taxi cab company, you got to ask them, Mother, may I? And that PUC is swamped by the people who already have taxi cab companies, and that's why for 50 years you couldn't start a new taxi cab company. It was protectionism for the people who were already there. But at least the PUC is appointed by the governor and has some sort of affiliation there. This is a group of reporters who aren't an elected official. They answer to themselves, and they get to decide if they want to let their competition in to compete with them for news.
Correct.
All right. You've applied for this.
Twice.
What happened?
The first time I applied as Complete Colorado. I was working, solely for Complete Colorado at the time, and we had decided to put in a Capitol reporter for that year, permanently now. But so I turned in my application about a week after I got, or actually it took several weeks before I even got confirmation that they had received it. And I got an email that said, we're going to take a look at it. We'll get back to you. And I responded back, and I said, if there's anything I can answer, let me know. About 2 days later, I got an email back saying, I'm sorry, but you don't fit our standard protocol. Please see our bylaws. Look at this particular section. Because of your affiliation with the Independence Institute, we feel that you don't fit our criteria.
Sorry to drag you down like that.
That's okay.
Trust
totally
me,
okay.
This is what happens when you hang out with the wrong type of people.
Right.
But Complete Colorado has broken story after story. The reason that there is going to be a special session starting in a couple days is from a story you broke.
Correct.
Saying there's this big mistake and RTD is about ready to blow the whistle on it. This is a trusted news source that is respected, but they just don't want the competition.
And that's the tough part, and that's exactly what it feels like, because what they're saying is that I work for a company where my stories are influenced by what you want to drive through the newspaper and by what you're testifying on and what Independence Institute is lobbying for or against, which absolutely is not true. Every media outlet in the state covered Fix Our Damn Roads. It wasn't just me. Every outlet in the state is covering the special session. It wasn't just me. But because Independence Institute is a think tank, they don't want that conservative, libertarian.
Which is odd, because there are other news organizations that have very strong bents, such as the Colorado Independent, which does some great work, but they are remarkably progressive. Did they get credentialed?
They do. Yeah.
So it's not just that you have to have a physical newspaper.
Right.
There are groups that have web pages only and still get on, but not you.
Right. And what I was told was, because we don't release our donors, because people don't know who our donors are, and the Colorado Independent has told everybody who their donors are, that was one of the main stipulations. And because the Colorado Independent doesn't lobby, well, we don't have lobbyists either, but apparently the belief out there is that we do.
Occasionally we have a lobbyist. Don't
Right,
worry about that.
but not a full-time lobbyist on staff.
So I don't know who owns all the stock for the Denver Post.
Right.
I don't know what the ownership arrangement is for the radio station you work for. I don't know those things. That doesn't affect the fact that this is a real news source and they don't want it. All right, but you don't just work for Complete Colorado. You work for a radio station.
I work for Colorado's first radio station. I work for KFK Radio in Greeley. It was the very first radio station ever in the state of Colorado. They're credentialed.
So they let you do it because you said, I work for this company, now let me have my credentials. And they said?
No, because you still affiliate with Complete Colorado.
So you hang around with those people, therefore even from this other organization you can't do it. Thank you so much. Keep on fighting. And that's how the news works in Denver. Listen for me on KHOW Radio. Read me in the Post. Tell a friend about the Independence Institute. And we'll see you next week.